Lecture 15, Protection from Sickness, page number 113, 114.
Here you see an evidence of this operation which homeopathy always tends to bring about. The malarial state is now brought into observation for the purpose of cure. It cannot be cured when complicated, for the remedy cannot be clear that will be similar enough to wipe them out. Complicate aithe. The malarial state is now brought into observation for the purpose of cure. It cannot be cured when complicated, for the remedy cannot clear that will be similar enough to wipe them out. The first prescription antidotes the drug and liberates the patient from the drug disease, and then you see the most acute or last appearing natural disease which comes back first. This is in accordance with fixed law. The last miasm or the last symptoms that have been made to disappear will be the first to return and go away to appear no more. The malarial cases which are being suppressed with anti-malarial treatment, even though they are temporarily suppressed, for a complete cure of malaria, when we start a homeopathic treatment according to the similar remedies, what happens? First of all, the person may get one more attack of malaria. Normally, when the recurrence of malaria is there after starting the treatment, then only definitely there will be improvement. Otherwise, the condition gets complicated slowly. When there is no recurrence, a continuous suppression is there. For example, he suffered already with 6 or 7 attacks, and already 6 or 7 times he took the treatment, and 6-7 times it was suppressed. What happens? It forms itself as a small miasm. So it gets complicated in the constitution. Slowly, to which state it leads, that was completely explained by Master E.K. only. Chronic malarial suppression or chronic suppression of malaria will lead to tubercular miasm. Basing upon this only, tuberculum, the drug tuberculum is also considered as the chronic remedy for China. In some cases of China, tuberculum works as a chronic remedy after getting some improvement. So when the person starts homeo treatment, what happens? The suppressed that miasm which is there in the constitution, which formed as a miasm in the constitution, that will be neutralized. The drug action, what happened due to this strong suppression? It has formed as a drug disease in that person, which led to miasm. That has led to a miasm. So after administering the remedy, that drug disease will be neutralized and that miasm will break. Automatically the person gets the attack. Sometimes it will be a bit more severe when compared to previous attacks. And once that antidote, that suppression is being neutralized, the attack which the person gets may be a more forcible and with more force, or it will be more, the attack will be more stronger when compared to previous attacks. Even then, if we treat successfully with the indicated similar remedy, slowly the person gets cured. When once it is completely eradicated, there will be no recurrence. That has been made to disappear will be the first to return and go away to appear no more. In the 36th aphorism, another thought comes up. Thus, non-homeopathic treatment, which is not violent, leaves the chronic disease unaltered. Non-homeopathic treatment. When that treatment is being done with not very strong medicines, what happens? The natural disease will be like that only. Even after the treatment, there will be some suppression or some palliation. After that, the original disease, the state of original disease will be the same. To suppress, there is required a state of violence to be brought about upon the body. One must do violence to the economy by enormous dosing, tremendous physic, much sweating, bloodletting, etc., such as was done in olden times. Previous to the invention of Hahnemann, these methods were there. To suppress, there is required a state of violence to be brought about upon the body. One must do violence to the economy by enormous dosing, tremendous physic, much sweating, bloodletting, etc., such as was done in olden days. Such a treatment tends to subdue or suppress disease for the time being, but when the violence has subsided and the rough treatment is removed, then the symptoms come back, but in a more disturbed state than before. When this type of violent treatment, when it is over, what happens? The original condition will reappear with more disturbed condition. For example, you all know, you might have read already in this Hahnemann's Organon and also Philosophy. Bloodletting was there. For example, when a person was having more rush of blood to the head, they used to apply leeches to suck the blood, to suck the extra blood. And also for a part which has received the injury with septic, to prevent septic condition, it was dipped in tar. So that type of horrible treatments were there. Marutuna tarlo muncharu, septic avukuna unnai. Septic sage దేవుడు తోలు లేచిపోతుంది. ఫిట్స్లో, ఎపిలెప్సీలో కాల్చి చుట్టగా కాల్చి ఇక్కడ ఐబ్రో దగ్గర పెట్టడం, అలాంటి మెథడ్స్ అన్ని చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. జాండీస్కి ఒకసారి వచ్చిన జాండీస్కి చాలా వైలెంట్గా వచ్చింది, చాలా విరులెంట్, విపరీతంగా ఒక ఎపిడమిక్ లాగా వచ్చింది జాండీస్ అనే చోట్ల. వస్తే చాలా చోట్ల అటు ముఖ్యంగా అటు కృష్ణా, గుంటూరు డిస్ట్రిక్ట్స్, ప్రకాశం డిస్ట్రిక్ట్లో ఈ రిస్ట్ దగ్గర కాల్చేవారు. ఒక వాచిలాగా ఒక ముద్ర వేసేవారు, దాంతో జాండీస్ తగ్గుతుందని. అసలు ఈ పుండు తగ్గడానికి చాలా టైం. The more violent the drug disease that can be established upon the body, the greater the changes in the chronic disease. Violent treatment alters the nature of the chronic diseases. A new and more intense disease suspends a prior dissimilar one existing in the body. Similarly, just so long as the effect of quinine continues, so long will it suppress and hold in abeyance the disease to which it is dissimilar. Quinine is capable of engrafting upon the economy its own disease form, which will last for years and may not stop until it has been antidoted by a medicine similar to its symptoms. Quinine వాడితే మలేరియాలో వాడేటువంటి మెయిన్ రెమెడీ అదే కదా, దాని తాలూకు బ్రాంచెస్ ఇవన్నీ వాడుతూ ఉంటారు. అంచేత ఇట్ లీవ్స్ ఇట్స్ drug disease as a chronic disease upon the patient, upon the economy of the patient, unless it gets neutralized. What happens when it is not being neutralized? What happens? Whenever the person gets affected with any types of acute diseases, the response for the medicines will be very, very meager. Normally, when it is expected to work very well and in a prompt way, that will not be there. Unless the drug disease which is formed with quinine, unless it is being neutralized, this effect will be very less. Chronic suppression of malaria leads to tuberculosis. But it is if it is antidoted, the malarial disease which it suppressed will appear in its original form, and the patient will say, "These are just the symptoms I had in the first place when I was cured by the late doctor." So and so, he cured me with Peruvian bark. So after neutralizing, after antidoting the bad effects of quinine, he gets the same attack, original malarial attack. Then he says, so and so doctor has cured with Peruvian bark. All these years I did not get. Again I started getting. The story is so common that any homeopathic physician who has been doing sound prescribing for years has lots of records of just such cases. దీన్ని బట్టే జనంలో ఒక సేయింగ్ ఉంది, హోమియోపతి వాడితే పాతవన్నీ బయటికి తీసుకొస్తున్నాము బాబోయ్ అంటారు. ఎప్పుడెప్పుడవో బయటికి లాగుతుందంటారు. లాగాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంటే లాగుతుంది, మరి అవి సప్రెస్ అయి ఉంటేను. జనరల్లీ many people think that by using homeopathy the long ago diseases also will come back. So it should be very careful to use homeopathy. Many people, they will be having this type of opinion. But if the suppression of those diseases which were there previously, if it is the cause for the present crisis, then inevitable they should reappear and they should be cured. Unless that happens, the present crisis also will not be cured at all. The malaria was subdued only because the quinine was capable of producing a more violent disease than malaria. Arsenicum is capable of doing the same thing. It can engraft upon the economy a dangerous disease that will result in very serious conditions because the arsenicum will complicate itself with sora. Arsenic wrong misuse అయినా లేకపోతే ఆర్సెనిక్ క్రూడ్ ఆర్సెనిక్ వాడుతూ ఉంటారు. పాషాణం, నేటివ్ మెడిసిన్స్లో పాషాణంతో తయారు చేసిన మందులు ఇస్తూ ఉంటారు. వాటిల్లో కూడా ఈ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ వస్తుంటాయి. In some cases we have a complexity of horrible things, like one built upon another, and when this is so, in treating them the last group which was removed will appear first, which shows that the remedy has done its work, and we then go on to the next and so on. The different groups sometimes appeared one after another in distant form. లేటెస్ట్గా వచ్చే సప్రెస్ అయినటువంటివన్నీ కూడా మళ్ళా కనిపిస్తూ ఉంటాయి. అలా స్లోగా ఉదయం తర్వాత ఎలాగ బిల్డప్ అయిందో, అందుకే దానికి మనకి రివర్స్ ఆర్డర్ ఆఫ్ ది అపియరెన్స్ ఆఫ్ సింప్టమ్స్ అని చెప్పిన దానికి. దే మస్ట్ డిసపియర్ ఇన్ ది రివర్స్ ఆర్డర్ ఆఫ్ దేర్ కమింగ్, యాజ్ ఇఫ్ పుట్ ఆన్ ఇన్ లేయర్స్, వన్ పైల్డ్ అపాన్ అనదర్. ఫ్రమ్ ఆల్ దిస్ we see how it is possible for two different diseases to occupy, as it were, two different corners of the same economy, one manifesting itself while other is subdued. We also see how they may exist in a state of complexity. In the first instance they do not combine, in the other they do and become complex. We also see the propriety and use of observing what treatment has been administered to the patient. It is not always possible to do this, and it is impossible to know whether each one of these drugs has established its own disease. Many times it will be there like this, but not always. Not every drug that is administered is capable of establishing a disease. It is always prudent, when symptoms are only partially developed, and when the drug which caused the suppression of symptoms is known, to include the antidotal relation to the drug with the rest of the symptoms, that is to say, select a drug which has a well-known antidotal relation to the drug that caused the suppression of the symptoms, providing it is all the most similar of all drugs to the few symptoms that are present. Only with which remedy, with the remedies which were administered, with which of the remedies the condition has become like this, that we should know. And what are the antidotal symptoms to antidotal remedies to that disease, that drug, that also we should know. Then it will be very easy. For example, a patient has been horribly treated with steroids. Steroids should be used very carefully, and they should not be used for a very long time. Sometimes the patients will go to the doctor, they will prescribe steroids for severe pains, arthritic pains, and definitely they will advise to come approach them to change the treatment. But when some patients because of laziness or because of ignorance, they will not go. Even for 2 or 3 years they will be continuing steroids like that. In that what happens? No doctor can do anything. When they approach the doctor, they will slowly reduce the steroids, and also they will tell the alternative. But when they do not approach, what they can do? In that cases, the dangerous conditions, they should be first neutralized. While neutralizing, the patient may get the original symptoms with more severity that he should bear. First instance only we should explain. This is very dangerous, you are using like this. Slowly you have to reduce. Even though you get more pains, you have to reduce. It is inevitable. Definitely you will get some improvement in the beginning. But slowly after getting the remedies getting antidoted, then the condition will become better, and definitely you will get more improvement after some time, but not magically. Recently there is one IBS case, irritable bowel syndrome, horrible case. Previously one of their relatives, they came to us without using allopathy. They came with only 1 or 2 doses of bacillum. He was completely cured. Later it did not relapse. But the present patient who came, he was on steroid treatment for more than 8 to 9 months. But now he got a state that the steroids also are not working for him. No remedies are working, steroids are also not working. He became very lean, emaciated, much bleeding with stool daily. There is much weakness. We started giving bacillum 30 daily doses. For 1 or 2 days he got good improvement. Later we gave Mercacur. He got good improvement, but the improvement is not standing. He is not getting improvement. For 10 days or 2 weeks we tried. Again at present he started using steroids. Not every drug that is administered is capable of establishing a disease. It is always prudent, and symptoms are only partially developed, and when the drug which caused the suppression of symptoms is known, to include the antidotal relation to the drug with the rest of the symptoms, that is to say, select a remedy which has a well-known antidotal relation to the drug that caused the suppression of the symptoms, providing it is also the most similar of all drugs to the few symptoms that are present. In that way, we make as much of similitude as possible. The similar remedy is most likely of all others to antidote the drug. So it is always safe to select the similar remedy, that is homeopathic remedy, that itself will antidote. If fortunately if a correct remedy is indicated to the patient in exactly similar way, that itself will antidote. We need not search for a exact antidote. The similar remedy is most likely of all others to antidote that drug. Do not be led aside to administer right away the drug that caused the trouble. The principle of similia is first. Totally different, however, is the result when two similar diseases meet together in the organism. That is to say, when to the disease already present in a stronger similar one is added. In such cases, we see how a cure can be effected by the operations of nature, and we get a lesson as to how man ought to cure. Then a real conjunction takes place, a union, as it were, a marriage, which results in the disappearance of old things and new things come and exist in a state of order.